Hello and welcome aboard the Gallant Says podcast. On today's show, one, the Houston Texans are another day closer to playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Saturday, 3:30. They're 9-point underdogs now. And the pundits are giving them the same grief that Rex Ryan did last week. We'll hear from some Chiefs before the game, some Texans as they turn ahead, and an old foe that we thought was gone from our lives forever has crawled his way back into our consciousness with quite the puff piece. It's full of gaslighting. We'll do a dramatic reading. Let's go.
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
Paul Gallant's wondering the same things a lot of people wonder.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to see.
Are you kidding me? Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
It is Wednesday, January 15th, live at youtube.com/Paul Gallant, on twitch.tv/Gallant Says, on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, at Gallant Says, Instagram at Sports Gallant, Facebook.com/Paul Gallant Sports. I think 4 o'clock is the ideal time to do this live stream every single weekday. If you want to listen to it after the fact, it's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. What's going on, everybody? Shout out to Seth Nicholson on YouTube, AJ Corona on X, King of Twitch, Junior Broncos, and Rare Candy on Twitch. If the Texans need TV pundits as a deep steel blue pill to get it up for Saturday, TV pundits sure gave them a whole lot to work with this week. First, let's start with my friend, a person that you might know from his time at Sports Radio 610 in Houston. I know a lot of people don't like Nick, but I like Nick Wright. First, Nick Wright was the first person that I ever talked to about how to go about getting a job. We talked on the phone for an hour. Then we worked together. We watched Breaking Bad in the final season together. He's always been in my corner, so I like him. But I also know that the guy, especially since the Chiefs got good, has become quite the troll. Much like I was when the New England Patriots were beating the shit out of everybody during their dynasty run. I was similarly insufferable. So I get what he's doing. They are the king. They are the two-time king. They're going for a three-peat that's never happened in NFL history. So you should understand the game and not get too flustered when you see Nick Wright say stuff like this on Fox Sports 1, this time with Colin Cowherd in a guest spot.
Colin, I got to tell you, Chiefs are going to, take care of the Texans by halftime Saturday afternoon. And then Ravens-Bills.
Chiefs are going to beat the Texans by halftime. Extreme statement, right? The Chiefs haven't beaten the shit out of anyone this year. That's crazy, Nick. What are you talking about? But the guy knows how to get under people's skin. He obviously has a huge social media following in Houston, given that he was here for a time. And what better way to create engagement than to light a fire talking to your old 6'10 compadres, Sean Pendergast and John Lopez. Here is more Nick Wright, this time on his TV show, First Things First. You can watch along on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, and on X/Twitter. Let's take a watch.
First in pressure percentage, third in sacks, and opponent third down percentage, so maybe. Nick, do you think that if that works, are you giving the Texans a chance here?
That's Kevin Wilde's tossing for a moment there. Look, that graphic, it's a pretty good indicator of what the Texans defense has been of late. They are playing very good with Azeez Al-Shaair back for this game. I think you got to feel pretty confident that the Texans will put together a solid performance, given who they have in the secondary, given who they have from a pass rusher perspective, and given the Chiefs' difficulties on the offensive line. But here is Nick Wright talking shit.
No.
Good defense.
Can't listen. The Chiefs. I'm not gonna do the thing. I'm not gonna say this is a bye. It's not a bye. And I'm not even gonna get mad that Rex stole my phrase and fumbled it a bit and then was wrong. Better than a bye is the phrase, and you better be sure the team's gonna wax the team they're playing rather than lose to them. But set that aside. It's not a bye.
Okay.
It is, however, the Chiefs' final practice of the year.
You got to go hard.
And here, I told this to Greg yesterday, and we can show you Mahomes' numbers in this round. It's very simple. LeVar Ball style, never lost, never turned the ball over, just crush.
Bad omen right
But here's why it's not, though. Because you don't.
I think it's worth noting Greg Jennings, watching him sit back and listen to Nick be insufferable. It's enjoyable. Greg Jennings putting the Texans on his back, dude. Perhaps. I used to do this with the Patriots when I first moved down here. I can't give him too much grief. This was me 12 years ago when I was a little bit more Boston than I was Houston. Nick showing the graphics of what Patrick Mahomes has done in the divisional round of the playoffs. 6-0, 33 points a game, 70% completion percentage, 302 yards a game, 8.1 yards per attempt. That's pretty damn good. Touchdown to turnover, 16-0. So we're talking fumbles too, and a passer rating of 115.8. It's pretty good. Now, also worth noting that the Chiefs in the divisional round of the playoffs generally play close games, but here is more Nick Wright talking that shit.
You don't lose a game you're not playing, and they're not playing a game. They have one final practice before their season starts. And here's how the Chiefs' seasons work. It starts in the AFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. If they go 0-1 that year, they have massive changes.
This is what we say about the Astros, isn't it? This is what we say about them. So you get it. It's fun to be a cake eater sports fan. It's fun to be the evil empire. More Nick.
It's happened twice. Once they fired the defensive coordinator after going 0-1 in 2018, and once they traded Tyreek Hill after going 0-1 in 2021. If they go 1-1, win the AFC Championship game, losing the Super Bowl, they look at the team and say which unit needs to be overhauled.
I love how Greg Jennings is still in camera here. Look at how pissed off he looks. He's looking down at the table. God damn, the guy's got some guns. That jacket is barely holding him in.
And they fix it. That happened in 2020 when they went 1-1 and they changed their offensive line. And if they go 2-0,
I think Kevin Wild's note is how pissed off Greg Jennings is here too. This is fantastic.
They hold a parade. And so the Chiefs really, since Mahomes has been there, they're just 7-3.
Yeah.
Just 7. They're just a 7-3 team.
Greg's still looking pissed off. Look, it is funny to say that, yeah, the playoffs don't start until it's the divisional round of the playoffs or the conference championship game. They're just 7-3 because they win all those Super Bowls. They win all of those conference championship games. They did lose one. More from Nick.
We've had 2 0-1 seasons, 1 1-1 season, and 3 2-0 seasons. We'll see how this one goes, but the season doesn't start this Saturday.
Yeah.
It starts next Sunday.
That makes sense.
So, no, I'm not giving Houston a chance.
He's not giving Houston a chance. You got to understand that Nick is just talking shit as a Chiefs fan. And it's moments like this that perhaps I need to bring in someone and something that has always been the bane to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. You guys can sing along with me if you so choose. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time. Patrick Mahomes is 0-2 against him in games that mattered. Some people would say that Brady had more help, but if Patrick Mahomes was such a good leader, would Dee Ford have jumped off sides? Or would his offensive line have shit their pants as much as they did in that Super Bowl? One last thought on Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. He had lunch with C.J. Stroud once. He has passed off his greatness. We will keep this candle lit. This didn't work last year during Texans-Ravens. But perhaps Greg Jennings will put the Houston Texans on his back in the remainder of this segment. Here is more Greg Jennings.
I'm not.
Hey, yo, team.
Let me pull a Nick. Let me sit back in my chair,
Yeah.
talk low.
Thanks. Yeah. It's a
and
good
say,
bit.
Am I giving Houston a chance? Of course. Of course I'm giving Houston a chance. They have to play the game, don't they, Wilds?
I mean,
Don't they?
It's on the
have to play
schedule.
the games. Let me say this. You put up the stats. Can we see those stats again of Houston's defense? Because there was this great man that I happen to know coined the phrase. What was that phrase again?
Defense wins championships.
That's
It's catching on.
Defense wins championships.
The graphic on the TV screen of Fox Sports is takeaways. Texans tied for first with 33. Pressure percentage, 38.5. First. Sacks, 53. Third. Opponent third down percentage, 35.5. Third. It does make you frustrated about the Texans offense not really showing up all season long, doesn't it? Here is more from Greg Jennings, wrapping up his thought on Fox Sports 1's First Thing First.
And there's one thing that we saw in that first round matchup against the Chargers. We saw great defense.
We did see great defense. Honestly, if DeMeco Ryans isn't one of the biggest winners of the wild card round, then you're crazy. I think he's right up there. Sean McVay and the Rams and what they were able to do, certainly towards the top. But Derrick Henry up there as well. But, I mean, they have done this a lot at NRG Stadium. Now it's a matter of doing this on the road. They're going to have to figure out a way to get takeaways against Patrick Mahomes. And on top of takeaways, they're going to have to find a way to score on them again, perhaps, just given the inconsistency of the offense. So that was Nick Wright. First things first. Let's go to First Take. Here is Stephen A. Smith with Molly Queeram and Damian Woody. We were able to get this courtesy of on TikTok at Product of the H. Here's Stephen A. Smith saying the Texans have no chance.
Stephen A., who's more on upset alert, the Chiefs or Lions?
The Lions. And I only say that because I'm giving the Texans zero chance against the Chiefs. Zero. I mean, it was a nice season. You know, they've had a lot of injuries, and we get that. If Dell and Diggs and those brothers were available, I'd feel differently. But no, they don't have a chance against they don't have a chance against.
What are you saying there, Steven? Let's try that one more time.
They don't have a chance against the Kansas City Chiefs.
One more time.
They don't have a chance against they don't have a chance against the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's all I got to defend the Houston Texans here, because everyone picking the Chiefs, totally justified. Everyone saying the Texans have no chance, justified. More Stephen A.
That's why I say that with the Commanders, we're sitting there raving about Jaden Daniels and how mercurial he is and what he has the potential to pull off and do, even though I expect the Lions to win this game. But you know what? This brother's something special. Not to say that C.J. Stroud is not, because I know that he is. But I think that when you look at the Houston Texans, I don't see them. I give them no chance of beating the Kansas City Chiefs this upcoming weekend. I give give the Commanders a very, very slight chance because obviously all the injuries that the Detroit Lions have suffered, even though they're going to be at home, I just think that the Commanders have a better chance of winning than the Texans do.
Okay. So ultimately, he says the Texans have a better chance. The Commanders have a better chance at winning than the Texans do. But he did say the Texans have no chance. No chance is extreme. Practice game is extreme. Game over by halftime is extreme. Some would call it disrespectful. But I get why they're doing it. And just like I said yesterday when we went back and took a look at Rex Ryan and all of his shit talking, you got to realize that given who the Texans have been the majority of this season, it makes sense. They got to win with their defense. The offense is too damn inconsistent. And the hope is that in the second half of this game where they did have some scoring drives, and at the end of the second quarter, where after that fumbled snap, throw to Xavier Hutchinson, the Texans offense got going the last two drives. The hope is that that can happen a couple of times in this game. They're going to need to control the football and do their best to keep Kansas City off the field. The defense can do it. I think they match up pretty well against the Chiefs' offense. I think the problem is the Chiefs' defense is really, really good. And that Texans offensive line, it creates problems for them often. More NFL pundits weighing in on the Houston Texans' chances against the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's go to Get Up with a panel featuring 5 guys. Dan Orlovsky somewhere. My guy, Teddy Bruschi. Mike Greenberg, boo. Rex Ryan. And Damian Woody. To ESPN on Get Up we go.
Rex Ryan, who is the biggest Houston Texans fan in the world, obviously, Rex.
Absolutely.
We know you love them and they love you. Saturday, we will have that game. Texans and the Chiefs, 4:30 Eastern on ESPN and ABC and ESPN Plus. Should the Chiefs be concerned about this defense and this quarterback and these Texans that are coming into Kansas City?
Well, it's certainly not a bye week, is it? Oh, my goodness. I think Houston has a chance here. And because I'm not going to ignore what I just saw. I'm not going to ignore it. That pass rush was absolutely ferocious. And it wasn't just against the 5 offensive linemen. They kept shipping. You know, your superstar right tackle for the Chargers that I can't stand is overrated as hell. But anyway, they couldn't block them. They could not block them. And so to me, yes, that's a problem. What's the Achilles heel for Kansas City's offense? Pass protection. This team, and I get it. I know they beat them by 8 points in the regular season in a game. I get it. But they look different. For some reason, something clicked to that football team, and they look different.
Who would have thought that Rex Ryan would perhaps come over to the Houston Texans side? Texans swarm! So Rex Ryan thinks they have a chance. How about former Patriots linebacker Teddy Bruschi?
The Saturday game late in the year where Tank Dell had the terrible injury in that game.
I'm on the other side of you now. I mean, I don't think they have a chance.
Do you think it's a bye? Are they on a bye week?
I'm not going there now, Rex. I'm not doing that.
Hey, Joe Mixon. You want to smoke a Teddy Bruschi cigar this
They were
week?
rushing a statue in Herbert that was sitting there the whole time. This is Patrick Mahomes we're talking about. He's going to convert on every 3rd and 3 where you got man coverage and those guys are rushing up the field trying to get Mahomes. He'll get out of there. That's going to be the difference. Herbert had 0 yards rushing. He did not use his legs at all. This is a different beast at quarterback in Kansas City.
I don't think that Justin Herbert is a statue, but I agree with Teddy Bruschi from this perspective. He chose not to run, and he could have run, I think, a couple of times in this game. And he should have, given just the way that the pass rush was for the Texans in this game. He should have run more. Patrick Mahomes is great at eluding the rush. And I think the biggest key to Saturday's game is going to be the return of Azeez El-Shaair. Is Azeez Al-Shaair going to keep Patrick Mahomes honest? We all know what he did to Trevor Lawrence. Is he going to make sure that Patrick Mahomes can't take off and scamper down the sideline the way that he does, untouched? Is he going to belt his ass? Is he going to take a 15-yard penalty just for the sake of taking a 15-yard penalty to remind Patrick Mahomes, no, bro, you're not Vladimir Putin playing hockey against a bunch of scared, terrified Russians. You are playing in the National Football League, and even if the referees are out there to protect you, you are not any better than any of us. Defenders' lives matter. That's, I think, the big key, because Mahomes' mobility is fantastic. More on Get Up from Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah, I lean towards Rex. I do think Kansas City wins the game, but I'll tell you, Derek Stingley and Lassiter and Petrie and Daniil Hunter and Anderson. They can play man coverage on the back end, and those cats on the edge are awesome pass rushers. And don't forget, if they get into an obvious pass rush situation, Teddy, Danico Autry as a pass rusher on the inside as well. I think that Houston, and I agree with Rex, said it perfectly. I can't ignore what I just saw. The way they edge rushed and played man coverage. Now it's the Chargers and they only had Ladd McConkey, but I think they can put up a fight.
Okay. Rex Ryan thinks they have a chance. Dan Orlovsky thinks they have a chance. Teddy Bruschi does not think they have a chance. How about Damian Woody? Former Patriots center. And New York Jet. Ew.
What do you think, D-Wood?
I'll say the fight. I'll say a fight. Sure, it'll be a fight. It's just the Chiefs are going to win. The Chiefs are going to win this game.
Teddy Bruschi's trying to clean up. He doesn't want to look like Rex Ryan at the end of the day. Teddy, it's okay. You won 3 Super Bowls. Don't listen to all these fuckers out here. Although you can maybe listen to Damian because he won one with you. See, now I'm being insufferable. Like Nick is with his Chiefs. I'm insufferable with my Patriots. Go Pats, dude.
I'm looking at 7.5 points. I'm looking at Chiefs minus. Are you willing to lay the 7.5?
You're with me.
Teddy is laying the points. Go ahead.
It is well more than 7.5 now. It is 9. I think it might have moved down to 8.5 on some lines. MyBookie.ag, promo code BET975. It is currently at 9.
I'll take Kansas City.
Listen, I think the Chiefs will win. I think, I agree with Rex. We can't ignore what we saw from the Houston Texans in that game. That defensive line totally got after Justin Herbert. On the flip side, though, will they be able to protect C.J. Stroud?
No, that's the answer. But here's more Damian Woody.
It's a problem for the Houston Texans.
No, absolutely, D-Wood. From especially the inside with Chris Jones attacking that interior offensive line, I agree. The other thing is, too, they're not dumb enough to understand that Houston's offense is all inside routes.
Right.
And you're not going to let number 12 bust you inside all day long. That's what he runs.
Right.
Like it looked like the
Nico Collins.
Surprised by Nico Collins. But so I think I give the Kansas City, I'll take them to win the game, but I think it's going to be super close.
Listen, I don't think the Texans have a chance because they don't have Rex to motivate them. I mean, last week they had Rex as the reason that, but they're going to send him a game ball.
It's a bye week. Hold up. It's a bye week.
I mean, it's not just Rex Ryan this week. I mean, you got Teddy Bruschi saying they have no chance. You got Stephen A. Smith saying they have no chance. You got Nick Wright saying that it's a practice game. Look, again, pundits. It's pundits. These players shouldn't even be listening to anything that they have to say. But if that's something you need to put a little bit of wind in your sails, fine. I would say that the entire regular season, looking at it in the rearview mirror, how much you struggled, that should be motivation to stop fucking up. There you go. So, you heard from some pundits. Are the Kansas City Chiefs giving the Houston Texans any bulletin board material? Well, let's check in with my mustachioed brother, Andy Reid.
What catches your eye most about the Texans defense, especially how they contain Herbert?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that jumps out at you is speed. That front can run. We didn't have a chance to play against Zero last year, or last time we played him a couple weeks back. And he's fast also as a linebacker, and he's kind of their main play caller there. So, but he can, the speed of the D-line, the linebackers just jump out at you. and they're real good. The hands of the secondary, those guys, they catch the ball. You don't see a lot of bobbles or drops or that. If you're presenting it close, they can go up and snag it.
Talking about Derek Stingley there. I wish that Andy Reid would have talked a little shit to get the Texans swarming a little bit more. That would have been nice. Hugh Dab says I look like a young Andy Reid. No, I'm not bigger than everybody out there. Look at Andy Reid doing the punt, pass, and kick. I mean, that's not fair. In case you've never seen it, this is all-time stuff. Andy Reid in the punt, pass, and kick.
Here's something else we found.
Back in, let's say, what year is this? I think this is 1971 during a Monday Night Football game. He is supposedly 13 years old here. Look at him. 13? He's 13? He is twice the size of everybody there. He's bigger than that adult to his left. Wearing full pads, just chucking it 40 yards downfield. Absolute unit of a kid. I want to see if there's any more, because I want to see what he did as a punter. But maybe they only have video of him passing. Insane. Andy Reid, back in the day. Here's a video actually from Facebook. Let's see if we can actually make this happen. Andy Reid, punt, pass, and kick. Look at him going on the field. There's another big guy there at least. See this guy on the bottom of the screen? He looks pretty big if you're watching on YouTube or twitch.tv/Gallant Says or X at Gallant Says or facebook.com/Paul Gallant Sports. God, look how big he was. It's insane. Absolute hoss of a man. Pretty crazy. On the Monday Night Football broadcast, you've got the broadcasters talking about how big he was. Anyway, that is Andy Reid, everybody, way back in the day. Did Patrick Mahomes give the Houston Texans any bulletin board material? New father, Patrick Mahomes. Here he was before the game.
In that win against the Chargers.
Yeah, I think what everybody's kind of known. I mean, that defense is extremely real. They have a great quarterback and a great coach, and we knew when we played them this last time it was a hard-fought game, and they get after the quarterback really well. They have really good secondary players, and the linebackers fly around. So it'll be a great challenge for us, and we'll have to play our best football.
Man, give us something. I'm sick of all the motivational fuel coming from pundits. But maybe they can get some motivational fuel from their head coach. How about Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans? Here is DeMeco Ryans taking a look ahead at the game against the Chiefs at his press conference on Sunday. DeMeco Ryans, everybody.
We understand what's in front of us. Great team. KC has done a great job for past few years of really dominating the league, being there at the end. They have a great coaching staff, great players, great team all the way across the board. So it's a really tough challenge for us. We're excited about the opportunity we have versus KC. We know it's a tough team to beat, right? It's going to take everything that we have. It's going to take all four quarters. Similar to our last game, we just have to stay the course, remain persistent throughout the game, and find a way to win in those critical moments.
A bit of a grab-ass fest. I get it. No one wants to give anyone bulletin board material. And that's DeMeco Ryans at the podium. He's not exactly the most exciting guy out there, right? But here's more. DeMeco Ryans, this time talking about the differences between the last Texans-Chiefs game and this coming up Texans-Chiefs game.
Yeah, I don't take much from it. It was a game that was that week. It's different circumstances that happened in that particular week. Now it's a new game for me. Fresh start, new game, right? We'll attack it just like it's our first time playing these guys again. So we'll go in with a fresh set of eyes and see the things we need to do to be better, the things we need to do to close out the game. And that's how I always go into each game with a fresh set of eyes, not really harping on a lot of what happened in the previous game.
We touched on this yesterday. Look, there is an advantage for the Chiefs in this one. We talk about 2 games a month apart. Sure, they're totally different games, and the Texans will have Azeez Al-Shaair back, but they might have a different configuration on the offensive line. The big difference is when you look at the Chiefs having Andy Reid, having Steve Spagnuolo, I trust those guys taking a look at the film from a month ago and being able to come up with something that attacks whatever the Texans did successfully in that game, a game that was close, more than I trust Bobby Slowick to do that offensively for the Chiefs. As far as DeMeco Ryans goes, with the way that the defense has been playing, maybe he can cook up something that stifles the Chiefs a little bit more. The real big problem for the Texans was that the offense let them down in the second half. Texans got a big stop after Tank Dell got hurt on a 4th and 1, but the Texans weren't able to take advantage of it. And they had really good field position, the ball at midfield. They weren't able to do anything the rest of the way outside of a field goal. And I feel like they could have been more aggressive in that spot, but they kept on finding themselves in these red zone situations where they shot themselves in the foot and went backwards. But, you know, you go back and watch that game, you will think to yourself, yes, the Chiefs ultimately strangled the Texans out at the end, but the Texans shot themselves in the foot enough for you to think that they belonged on the same field, even though the vibes felt completely different once Tank Dell suffered that gruesome knee injury. He had surgery on that today. Anyway, that's DeMeco Ryans talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's get to DeMeco Ryans. And a really important question, I think. This is DeMeco Ryans, head coach of your Houston Texans, being asked, who leads the Houston Texans Swarm? Here is DeMeco. Who's the Swarm Master? The Lord of Swarm for the Texans.
Who leads the Swarm charge? That would be, well, you really can't go out there if you're not about it. Like, and that's what's unique about our defense. Like, it's not one guy. If you wanna talk about one guy, you can talk about Will as the guy who leads it. You talk about Azeez as the one guy. You can talk about Stingley. I can name all those guys because each one of our guys, when you play defense, the way I believe in playing defense, like if you're not about the swarm mentality, then it's gonna be hard for you to play defense for me because I see it one way.
Hell yeah. Love that, DeMeco. But podium DeMeco is boring. Sideline DeMeco is fun, DeMeco Ryans. I don't know if people saw him mic'd up during Saturday's Texans-Chargers game, but I got a kick out of this moment in particular after Derek Stingley made a play and after Azeez Al-Shaair made a nice tackle for a loss in J.K. Dobbins.
Let's go! Let's go, man! Let's go! Let's go! We here, man! We here! We here, man! Let's go! We here! Let's go! Hey! Great job! Hey, that's how you strike, boy! That's how you strike! That's it all day!
That's how you strike, boy! I don't know if I can say that. We here! That's how you strike, boy! Hell yeah. I just noticed I have a lot of soundboards that I haven't really used that often. I got this little button I can press, which I actually did for a moment.
The fucking grow, motherfucker. You kidding me?
That was Ozzie Guillen talking to me the first time I ever reported on a baseball game. Here's another fun one.
Paul, stop talking.
Listen. That was Wade Smith when I was on Sports Radio 610 to me once. Got a lot of fun stuff here. All right. What else do we have? More Houston Texans talking about the game against the Chiefs. We're going to wrap up in about 9 minutes. This is Joe Mixon on Sunday. Pay attention to what Joe Mixon says at the end of this clip.
We just got to keep on doing what we do and playing football for 4 quarters, if not more, like I said, and keep closing the games out. And it's great for the offense to be able to take a knee at the end of the game, man, especially in a playoff game. We just got to keep on going. And I look at it like, one more week and we'll be in the AFC Championship. Just got to take care of business, man. So I'm excited.
He's excited. Hell yeah, dude. He's looking ahead already? Did you hear that at the very end?
Being an AFC Championship, just got to take care of business, man. So
I wish I had a video producer for all of this video that I'm playing.
1 week, and we'll be in the AFC Championship. Just got to
1 week and we'll be in the AFC Championship? Are the Chiefs going to isolate that clip? Because this is a clip from Joe Mixon after the Texans had beat the Chargers before they knew that they were playing the Kansas City Chiefs.
1 more week, and we'll be in the AFC Championship. Just got to take care of business, man.
Do not be disingenuous, Chiefs media. Do not do it. Do not do it. This is just his mindset for the game. You heard the full clip just moments ago. Joe Mixon has gone up against the Chiefs before. In the regular season, he is 1-3. He has 60 carries for 218 yards, a 3.63 yards per carry average. He also has 15 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown. In the playoffs, 2 games against Kansas City, the 2021 AFC Championship game where the Bengals actually won, he had 21 carries for 88 yards. He also had 3 catches for 27 yards. He had 14 carries for 57 yards against the Chiefs the last time the two teams played. I felt like the Texans got away from giving the ball to Joe Mixon a little bit too much, and I think one of the ways to potentially neutralize Chris Jones, or at least wear him out, is to run Joe Mixon at him from time to time, which sounds unconventional, especially with who the Texans have on the interior offensive line. But, you know, Mixon's really, this season, when big carries have happened, the Texans' rushing offense is essentially wait for Joe Mixon to do something because they do not get much push. But, I don't know, maybe you want to wear down that pass rush just given the limitations of the offensive line, have them going forward as opposed to backward for a lot of the games. Anyway, Joe Mixon has had success against the Chiefs in the past. More for the Houston Texans going into their game against the Kansas City Chiefs on Saturday. Here is Will Anderson asked about a potential Texans run.
You guys on this road, the Super Bowl is in sights.
Yeah, one game at a time. One game at a time. We got to keep stacking, keep coming back in better. We can't relax now. We can't hone in on this win. We can enjoy it, but we got to move on and keep getting ready for our next opponent.
Professional. Very professional answer. One last clip that I want to play. This is from a guy who played for a team that a couple of years ago almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs on the road in Arrowhead this round of the playoffs, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Foloransu Fatukasi, a.k.a. Foley Fatukasi, was speaking with, I believe, Landry Locker after the game and after having smoked his stogie on Saturday, and he is very, very happy about the team he currently plays for.
You could look around, like, yeah, some really great players. Like this is year 7 for me, and this is the best team that I've ever been on. Just to really see how everybody just comes together and you really have each other's backs, it's amazing to watch. All sides of the ball. So it's really fun to see.
Best team he's ever played on. Now, again, he's played for the Jets and Jaguars before, but I think that's pretty cool. How about that? We'll talk about Jack Easterby tomorrow. I only have a couple of minutes left in the show. But let's read some comments. Going forward, you want me to answer a question right away, super chat me. I will answer the questions, though, at the very end. And if you ever have an email that you want to send my way, or a question that you want me to answer at some point on the air, because we do ask Gallant anything at the end of the show, GallantSays@gmail.com. AJ Corona on X said the refs are going to make sure the Texans lose the game. I felt like the refs helped the Texans out in the first Texans-Chiefs game. Take a look at the touchdown pass that C.J. Stroud threw early on. The Texans got away with a hold on that play. More comments and thoughts at the very end. Not a Bot says the game will start before the podcast does. Don't really know what you're talking about there. I imagine the podcast after the game will take a little bit of time to get going. Debating doing a watch party that you guys can hang out with. Eric Valdez says the Texans have about a 20% chance to win on YouTube. Chiefs aren't the Chargers. Texans don't play as well on the road as they do at home. Right, you are. Brandon Halam says the Chiefs aren't the Chargers. The worthless Chiefs were never able to score 18 points on the Chargers in multiple meetings this year. Brandon, you got to stop. You got to stop comparing scores and acting like the Chiefs aren't good. The Chiefs are good. I have a lot of respect for the Chiefs. Texan for Life asks, is it safe to bet on the Texans this weekend? I wouldn't. That line is a lot. I think it's understandably a lot. They deserve credit for covering and winning on Saturday, but the Chiefs are better than the choking-ass Chargers. I hope that this time is different for the Texans, but we all know what happens in the divisional round of the playoffs. If you want to add a little something extra on it, go ahead. But honestly, given the Texans' history this round of the playoffs and the Chiefs' history this round of the playoffs, you might be better off hedging so that you at least get some sort of enjoyment, say this game gets out of control. Dab Channel says, any team can be beaten any given Sunday. Remember the Giants played the Patriots? Yes, I fucking remember. I do remember. Sorry. I'm still mad about that one. I'll never forget. I still haven't paid up a $20 bet with a guy by the name of Ben, who was my next door neighbor in college. And sorry, Ben. I think I owe you $20. Got to figure out his Venmo. More comments here. Questions. Common Sense 200 says, why wouldn't they? The Chiefs only won that game by 1 score. Texans Chiefs earlier this year. The game probably would have been closer if Tank Dell didn't get hurt. If. Very big word for 2 letters. Don't you love that line? I learned that from Joe Namath. I don't think he was drunk when he said that. Diablo, shout out to you. Paul, no way you're 35, bro. You look 28 tops. Thank you so much. That made my day. Common Sense 200 says, it's funny that the Texans, which wrecked the Texans, it's funny. I can't read. It's funny that the Vikings, which wrecked the Texans in week 3, aren't going to the divisional round. Laughing emoji. Laughing emoji. Yeah, it is pretty funny. It's Sam Darnold, though. The worst is that Vikings fans are like, yeah, Sam Darnold's better than C.J. Stroud after week 3. Shut the fuck up. But, hey, they found out the hard way that that was not true. Diablo says, nobody wants to see a disrespected Texans team. I need all the media to keep hating. I can do that if you want, but I don't know. I'm getting more and more excited about the game. Maybe I'll do something fun. Desert Stro says, do you think the Rockets should try and move Tari before his injury concerns become routine? No. I like Tari. I think he can still get better, and I think that the real thing you got to wonder about with some of the veterans on the Rockets right now, you got to wonder what happens when the Rockets decide to move on from them, you know? Thomas D. Leon asks on Facebook, why did they get rid of Deontay Johnson? Bad teammate. He was pouting after a win. It's fucking embarrassing. Guy's been on 8th of the NFL the last 2 seasons. Diablo asks to tell the Christmas Nightmare story again. Texans-Ravens, the game that I went to, the 31-2 loss. Go back and watch that live stream. It was fucking awful. Brutal day. Capsize, what's up? Thank you for joining me. Everybody who joined, I appreciate you. We can all come together to do this again live at youtube.com/PaulGallant, twitch.tv/Gallant Says, on Twitter @Gallant Says, Instagram @SportsGallant, and facebook.com/PaulGallant Sports. Weekdays at 4 p.m. I'm going to hold myself to it. You can also catch it occasionally after major Houston sporting events. It's also available after the fact wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe wherever you're watching it. Tell a friend about the movement. Gallant Says, the podcast edition of what used to be Gallant at Night. So long, farewell. Have yourselves a wonderful